So within our timelines, I've got a couple of different clips here, and I'm gonna use this base clip just because it's very obvious. But so if we listen to this, it's got a very strong kind of a beat to it. If we open up within our timeline the audio and the waveform, you'll see that this is the waveform of that soundtrack. Every one of the high points are represent loudness. So the stronger beats all exist at the high point of this waveform. The quieter, the softer beats exist at the bottom of this waveform. And what we can do is use these to kind of animate. So just by way of a simple kind of an animation, we can, we'll identify each of these high points as an area we want to change text. So if let's do this, that. Just take a quick moment, center the center point so that anything we do will operate off the center of the object, and then align it to the center of the composition. So we can use these to animate different words, and I'm just going to do word changes within the source, the type source on this one, but the same concept works for everything. So I'm going to delete that and set a keyframe for it. I'm going to come out here to my first. So this first high point and change the word. Come out here to the next high point. Maybe I'll go here. A couple. So let's just take a look at that. So we just placed a change at the top of every and we can sequence our animation changes to the soundtrack that way. And let's see. Maybe actually we take all of these and slide them off. I think that happens too fast, so let's go. I'll start the first one here. Let's take a look at that. I shrunk my timeline, so I might be doing these too quick, but stretch them out a little bit. So we time our changes to the high point. It's a very simple way of sort of animating to to a soundtrack. If it's spoken words, you know, as you look at the waveform, you'll identify certain characteristics. And as you work your way through it, you'll become more accustomed to which points within the waveform do what, and it'll become a little more natural. But usually initially, you'll end up moving keyframes or moving stuff around a little bit to sort of match those beats. By doing all of that, you can, is this it? That's not it. Not the one I want either. So you sync up all of those, different animation points. And that's just a simple way of kind of animating type in a very basic kind of a way. But it'll work well for this assignment in certain areas. And you can, like, I just change words on, words within the source with this, but you do the same thing with, is this it? Here, I've got the words animated in at different points. Again, they follow the soundtrack in the same way I just showed you. Nose on and turn that off. So we can insert different animation styles following that general process. Those are terribly hard to read. What was I thinking? You don't want to do that. So you can we'll just use those high points of the waveform to sort of animate changes. So here's, this is that heavier beat. Notice how that waveform looks. But if I put in this, I think. Let's take a look at it. It looks much different. The high major points are more widely spaced, which gives you more time within those to work. So if you've got longer phrases, you might start a particular sequence on one of those beats, but you've got a good 3 to 2.5 to 3 seconds to work with them, which doesn't seem like much, but when you're animating type on screen, sometimes that can seem like an awful long time. So as I think one of the things that's kind of important is you're looking for music or you're looking for an audio bed to put behind your animation. Download a variety of things, listen to them, look at the waveforms just to sort of see if you can find those animatable points, as you're working through it. They're all there. Some are just easier to see and easier to work with than others. So, but this is one thing you really should be looking at as you're working your way through your animations, are those waveforms, because those will kind of dictate. It makes a big difference when words hit or animation sequences hit within certain points of your score or your background. It kind of brings it all together and makes it all feel like one. Every example we looked at, whether briefly or not, it's the timing of actions and the music that keep those moving and keep them interesting. So, and if you don't have that, 60 seconds can start feeling really long. If you've done it well and you've made a good go of it, 60 seconds will fly by, just like that. So it's, animating the words is one thing, timing them to your soundtrack is the other. We'll look at some other examples of animating the soundtrack. We can use we can actually create animation paths out of the waveform of a soundtrack, which is, kind of a neat, fun thing. So we can do something, kind of like this. Where we don't have to keyframe all of those movements. It's all animated, they're all points on a timeline, but we can pull those out of the soundtrack. Make sure you pick music or a sound bed that you like, because you're going to listen to it over and over again, and if you don't like it, you'll get tired of it real fast. So just take some time to wisely pick that music. As you're looking, other things I can tell you, if you've got a phrase that's long, faster paced music will force you to animate quicker. You can probably actually cram more into 60 seconds than you can with a slow piano piece, if you will. So those are things that you kind of learn and you kind of figure out as you do, more than anything else. You might it was also why sound tests are nice to do. It'll give you a sense for whether your action is going to move too quickly for what you want to animate or not, So do those motion tests. On Wednesday we'll look at those storyboards. If you've got any motion tests you've started in that direction, we can take a look at those as well, but those aren't due until Monday. And we'll look at other techniques within After Effects to match up sound and music and motion. All right? So you can, there's 10 minutes left. You can work for 10 minutes or you can take off. I'm happy to look at anything as well.